for them, and it brings people into it.
Yeah. Oh, they've arrived at last, the Spurs team.
Well, they were probably listening to a few words from Terry, you know, as we have to do from time to time. It takes a long time for him to get it out on occasions. But
I think the surface will suit Tottenham's passing game as well. I mean, they've got the players in the middle of the park that can pass it, they can give it and move.
There's Naeem, who's played such a vital part in the cup run, hasn't he? He's
would you like to actually face him and say, well, thank you for the hat-trick?
Well, it wasn't
difficult to leave him out. I'd agree with that.
There's some days these are here, aren't there?
Oh, it's tremendous. It just makes you want to get out there. It really does. And the nerves will believe in him.
Anderton, how will he play today, do you think? I mean, he's come good in the last few months.
Yeah, that's a tribute. That's a tribute to Spurs' coaching methods. I mean, he came in, the crowd were unhappy with him. You know, Spurs spectators expect, as most of them do, instant success. Paid a lot of money for him. Why isn't he winning the matches? But they've carefully, you know, allowed him to progress. Pulled him out here, popped him in there. But the one thing Terry was telling me about him was his amazing stamina. He wins all the cross countries, even over your more older and more experienced players, without trying. So that's a great asset for a professional player.
And of course, he played well in the semi-final last year against Liverpool, didn't he, for Portsmouth? So he's
had the experience, he does. I've got a sort of hunch that we might see another extra time one today. I don't know.
It's very close to call, actually.
Yeah.
There's not much between the two sides.
OK, gentlemen, we're all set for the second semi-final. Who's going to play Sheffield Wednesday in the final? Let's join our match commentators now, Trevor Brooking and John Motson.
Thank you very much, Desmond, and good morning or nearly good afternoon to everybody. It's a scene I think we're going to get used to this on semi-final day, because I spoke to Sir Bert Millerchip, the FA chairman, who's there with his wife Barbara at yesterday's match. He's sitting next to Alan Sugar as well there, and he tells me that he personally is absolutely in favour of all semi-finals in future being played here after the success of yesterday, when there were 75,000 people in the stadium, and there must be that many in the ground again now, nearly, as kick-off approaches today. So, in fairness to spectators who want to see these games, I think it's getting to the stage now where Wembley is, realistically, the only venue. Let's have another check on those team lineups that Alan and Jimmy were referring to. For Arsenal, Lee Dixon passed fit at number 2, Kevin Campbell preferred at 9, and what a young midfield trio there. Number 4, Hillier, number 7, Parler, number 11, 18-year-old Ian Selly. Those three players haven't been starting many of Arsenal's recent matches, so quite a change around there by George Graham. Selly, in fact, the youngest player in the match. How are they going to play, Trevor Brooking?
Well, it's an interesting selection, as you say. I mean, the back four looks very solid as normal with Dixon back, but the midfield trio, Selly, I think, gets in because he is probably a good passer and will help the supply line to Merson, who's going to play as a floater, and Campbell and right up front. Hillier, more of the anchor man, perhaps picking up Samways, and Parler, who's a very energetic player and runs all over the field. But those three will be trying to hustle also to make sure Spurs don't get too much time and space in that area.
Well, there were 6 survivors there from the semi-final 2 years ago. Spurs, in fact, have 7, including Naeem, who came on as sub that day, as Desmond said, starting the match now in preference to 19-year-old Nick Barmby, who's on the bench. It's the team that won at Manchester City in the 6th round, so will they play the same way?
Well, I think they will. 2 young fullbacks who defensively I think have improved a lot this season. They like to get forward, but they've become more aware of those defensive responsibilities. Sedgley would do the anchorman's job, probably looking after Merson as he floats around. And of course up front more Anderton, who I must say I prefer in his old Portsmouth role, sort of wide on right side of midfield, but because Barmby's on the bench, he'll be pushing closer to Sheringham.
Now this lad Selly, what an opportunity. He only made his debut earlier this season. I was at the game against Blackburn Rovers. He comes from Chertsey in Surrey. Nice passer of the ball. He was away with Barmby with that World Youth Championship squad in Australia, which is why he's not played much recently. But what a day at 18 to be taking part in a match like this. And the referee, Philip Don, who comes quite near from here, 15 miles away in fact, from Middlesex, he's got a test on too, because I saw the league game between Spurs and Arsenal at White Hart Lane at the end of the year, and there was trouble that day, as you may know. It was widely reported, and the referee on that occasion has since threatened to retire because of some of the abuse he suffered since. So there is a certain test of temperament here today as well for all concerned. But on this glorious morning and afternoon and fine Wembley surface, we can only hope that Terry Venables' type of football, and that preached down the years by him and George Graham, is seen to be today, on a showpiece occasion, the deciding factor to determine who plays in the final itself. Arsenal, red and white, Spurs traditionally white and blue, and Ian Wright up front straight away. And the first foul, in fact, is by Merson. Well, can we possibly hope for the sort of start we had yesterday? The old Spurs favourite, Chris Waddle, 63 seconds. Ruddock takes the free kick, looks for Sheringham. Up goes Tony Adams, away by Hillier. Definite that Parler's playing on the right side at the moment. Merson looks to be just in behind the front two, which Trevor will pick up, I'm sure, as the team settle down. Here's Linnigan. And Sheringham just hoping to sneak in there. That's Naeem on the far side.
Yeah, you mentioned Merson. I mean, Merson will play just behind the front two, and Sedgley is the one actually who will be detailed to mark him. And at the other end, Hillier is sticking closely to Samways, and those two are very influential midfielders, like to get forward and supply the strikers. It'd be interesting whether Samways or Merson gets the more space.
It's such a dramatic day, isn't it, the semi-final, wherever it's played, and two North London rivals here whose head-to-head record over 121 matches is Arsenal 51, Spurs 45, and 25 games have been drawn. Winterburn. Campbell looks for Wright, the back heel didn't find Campbell. There's Winterburn. Wright. Took a challenge there from Sedgley. Ian Wright goes down in pain, and on comes the Arsenal physiotherapist Gary Lewin. Steve Sedgley was the man who fouled him here. Wright gets the ball down and then tries to backheel it seems, Trevor.
Well, he just tried to drag it away from Sedgley, and he caught his standing foot. I don't think it'd be too bad. But I mean, in the first few minutes, won't be too much of a surprise if we get one or two free kicks as the early skirmishes go on.
Well, we've talked about free kicks on these occasions. Not quite the position here for a Gascoigne or a Waddle, but certainly one that Merson could bend in dangerously. I see Linnigan's made his way forward for Arsenal too. And Eric Torsvet got hands to that, but didn't seem to pick it out cleanly, and Arsenal have a corner.
Not the first touch you really want in an important semi-final like this.
Hillier will take the corner. Adams and Linnigan have both gone forward, and Parler's there in the 6-yard box as well. Going for the flick on Parler, it was Sedgley, then it was Merson, and wide is Hillier. It's out. It's Darren Anderson with the header, now it's Selly. Not a bad ball either. Forward early for Campbell. And it took two Tottenham defenders to thwart Campbell.
Good ball in from Selly, though, just a good touch. He just floated it into space, and that's what he's going to be in the side for, to give the service for Campbell and Wright. Alan Hansen mentioned it before, to turn the Spurs defence around, and he just clipped it into space well.
Beautiful day now, the sun's shining on this North London occasion, but I'm sure it's being eagerly watched elsewhere too. This is Winterburn. Again, Arsenal go for the early ball forward. This is Ruddock. Flanagan. Now Lee Dixon, whose fitness was confirmed this morning. It must be something of a gamble. He came back on crutches from Turkey. Here's Parler up against Justin Edinburgh. Away by Mabbott. David Seaman, who will be determined to do well today. Here's Anderton. They all are, but Seaman for special reasons. Anderton, Sheringham! And indeed, every goalkeeper likes to get a good early save in. And Seaman, after what happened to him at the hands of Gascoigne and Lineker, saw that Anderton was shaping there for the first real shot from Tottenham. Sheringham had the final effort, but the two up front combined well.
Very positive play by Anderton, wasn't it? Went at 3 defenders, had good awareness to know Sheringham was holding the 18-yard box, and hit it well enough, but Seaman made a comfortable save. He then appealed for the offside, didn't he? Sheringham got caught for offside just then, and I thought the linesman did very well earlier not to flag, because Sheringham was coming back onside when Anderton picked up that original possession.
Notice Philip Don there, just quietening down a couple of players who'd clashed further upfield as the free kick is taken. Had a word with Tony Adams, in fact. Here's Dixon. This is Campbell. And now it's Samways for Tottenham, pursued by Hillier. Goal kick.
Just a couple of slips, wasn't there? Justin Edinburgh had quite a bit of rain in London, and so the surface will be a bit more slippery than it was in the first semi-final yesterday.
Now another conversation between Lee Dixon and the referee. Mr. Don is known to be a firm disciplinarian. He won't stand any nonsense. Naim gets a word in as well.
I think it's all to do with that first offside decision when Sheringham ended up with the shot. Anderton, when he picked up possession, Sheringham was 10 yards offside, but he was coming back on to play, having sort of closed down on the goalkeeper. And I think it was definitely a good decision by the referee and the linesman to say, you know, keep the game flowing.
This is Winterburn. Header was by Parler, wearing number 7. That was Dean Austin. Ian Wright moving through the inside left position, but Paul Allen tackling back. Winterburn to take the throw for Arsenal. Gets it back from Merson. Merson again. Parler's the player offside. It's the Arsenal fans hoping now to see 2 cup finals here between Arsenal and Sheffield Wednesday, whereas the Spurs supporters hoping their team can extend their FA Cup success record. They've won it 8 times. Nobody else has. Dean Austin. Away by Selly. There's Campbell, challenged by Mabbott. Bit of a tangle there between 4 players. Foot up by somebody. And indeed, the way of sorting that out is to drop the ball. Austin. In fact, Mr. Don had charge of last year's final between Liverpool and Sunderland, as I recall, Trevor. So experience on the big occasion.
You have to be eagle-eyed early on because everyone's marking down. I mean, they know each other so well, and it's very evident in the first 10 minutes. Particularly both managers being very aware of the dangers of the other side, and at the moment they're stifling each other.
Naeem for Spurs. Linnigan for Arsenal. Parler. Challenge coming in from Edinburgh. Yes, the one thing Arsenal were determined not to let happen today was the poor start they got off to 2 years ago. Tottenham caught them absolutely cold and were 2 up in 11 minutes. Well, we're coming up to that mark now. And it hasn't happened today. Dixon's throw, on by Campbell, right challenging, good play by Ruddock. This is Merson on the right now, and he's done ever so well, Merson, and Dean Austin has to clear, but it's not really away. Merson again, and this time a free kick, but it's obvious from that Merson's got licence to roam.
Well, he has, and he's going to have to if he's going to shake off Sedgley, but he got away from 3 defenders there. Terrific bit of skill. Couldn't quite get the final cross in properly.
I just wonder what the thinking was between George Graham and Terry Venables about where to sit today. Both tend to start matches up in the stand, but look at this. Terry on the front row, next to Doug Livermore. George down there as well, next to Stuart Houston. They want to be close to the action. Still seem to talk about Terry as the manager. Of course, he's the chief executive, and he's taken something of a backseat behind Messrs Livermore and Clements. Here's Sedgley, and here's Parler, and Campbell's out to the right. Ian Wright is in the middle, and Parler tries to charge through. It's come to Campbell anyway, taking on Edinburgh. Campbell's cross, important interception. Dean Austin again, that's twice, having to come right across from right back to cover a dangerous break there by Arsenal. Anderson. Allen. Now Austin further forward. He started well, the number 2 for Spurs. Young lad on a big occasion. And here's Paul Allen. Sheringham in the middle. Naeem further over. Anderson joins them now. Foul, and Adams reacts a little angrily as he gets up after bringing down Paul Allen. Now the test here is whether Arsenal can contain Ruddock and Mabbott. Ruddock's gone up to the far side of the area. Adams looks to be marking him. Mabbott's in there too, and so is Sheringham. Off Linnigan, in fact, and now Campbell takes on Sedgley, and it opens up for Arsenal. Hillier's in the middle, Wright is further forward, there goes Wright, locked off.
Strong run by Campbell, wasn't it? He is a powerful player. He's had a poor season, strangely enough, and then about 3 weeks ago he scored a couple of goals and has suddenly come to life again, and that's why he's kept Alan Smith on the bench today. He went past it just in Edinburgh earlier, didn't he, down the line, and got a good cross in. And so he started well.
Here's Selly, Hillier, Winterburn. Now testing Spurs with the long ball, but as yet the Tottenham defence looks firm. This is Campbell again, though, making a nuisance of himself. Merson tries to get Winterburn in. Wright and Parler are waiting in the middle, and the clearance is by Mabbott. Corner to Arsenal. Well, they'll want David Hillier, presumably, to swing this in with his right foot. Linnigan and Adams have joined Campbell and Wright in there. Not a good corner by Hillier. They look awful, those near post corners, when they get the delivery wrong, don't they, Trevor?
Yeah, anything short and that is cut out does look poor. I mean, Hillier's looking to get it, whip it into the 6-yard box. Arsenal had 5 players in there and such, and Linnigan and Adams are the 2 main ones that they're trying to get just the faintest of touches.
It'd be nice to see somebody produce a different sort of corner one of these days. It seems to have been with us since the arc, the near post ball. That's Linnigan. Ruddock. Anderton. He's picking up a bit of pace. Samway's in behind him, but Arsenal closing ranks. It's Hillier's through ball. Campbell's away. Torsved out. Terry Venables with a few words to get across there. Recent form of the two teams very, very good. Spurs have had 8 wins and 2 draws in their last 11 games. Arsenal have been beaten only once in their last 10 in League and Cup. And here's a man who's never lost at Wembley, Eric Torsved, 4 appearances. Selly. This is right. Nice touch, Parlour. His right's foul on Sedgley. 9. Samway's well forward, pressing Dixon. Plenty of practice for Seaman on the kicked clearances so far. Bit of a show again by Wright, this time on Ruddock.
He's not going to have much joy 1 against 1, so he's trying to give him a little nudge as he goes up, but the referee spotted each occasions up to now.
Sheringham's header. Harry Mabbott was up on the chase to try and pick up Sheringham's flick there. Now he's got to go back to his defensive responsibilities. This is Austin. It's Anderton. Through run by Sedgley here in the area. Couldn't reach it. He scored, of course, at Main Road in the last round, Steve Sedgley. It's Edinburgh to 9. Sedgley looks for Naeem again. Now Dixon facing his own goal.
I think Arsenal have had the edge in the opening spell. It's interesting, Terry Venables just made a slight tactical switch. He decided to put Anderton out wide on the right and put Paul Allen in alongside Steve Sedgley, give him a little bit more bite in that midfield and leave Sheringham a bit isolated up front, with Samways getting closer to him, and it might help Samways lose his marker, Hillier.
Yes, there's quite a lot of tactical thinking gone on, because I don't think Tottenham knew the Arsenal, well, I know they didn't know the Arsenal lineup until half an hour before the game. That was Samways getting it wide again. Anderton. It was appeal for handball there by Spurs, was it? Well, Anderton, I think they appealed there against Linnigan, was it, Trevor?
As he hooked it on, it had to clip something, and they said it was his hand. I'm not sure it would have been deliberate, though.
Corner kick. Ruddock's in there, so is Mabbott. And they're appealing again, Tottenham. Again, they're hoping for a handball decision, but play goes on with Austin All. It might go on with Merson. Anderton, foul by Merson. This is Samways, and now it's Naeem. Edinburgh's well forward as well. Parler. Well, a few scares, a few threats, but nothing so far to disturb the Sunday lunchtime atmosphere. Weather perfect, fans in good voice. Allen for Spurs in that more central position now. Sheringham's got Samways going down the left wing. I've seen quite a lot of Spurs-Arsenal matches down the years, and there is a tendency, especially in the league games, for the two teams to cancel each other out, and there have been a lot of low-scoring matches. That semi-final was a bit of an exception 2 years ago.
Well, definitely, I think Arsenal had that little bit of the edge in the opening spell, and Terry Venables looking at it, seeing Samways not getting much joy, has pushed him further forward now, and as I say, got Anderton out wide on the right, and his balance will look a bit better, and I think Paul Allen will be that bit more competitive alongside Sedgley in the midfield.
This is Dean Austin. Flick on was by Sheringham, looking for Samways. It is Winterburn. Goal kick. Adams, Merson, Dixon, Ruddock. Selly. Halfway through the first half, and no sign yet of any classic football, I have to say that. It's a little bit functional so far. Few painted faces. Hillier. Sedgley. Austin. And Linnigan coming in for the header, but it's fallen in the end to Parler. This is Campbell. Mabbott stretching. Naeem. Now Samways. He's got Edinburgh charging up from left back. He's got Sheringham in the centre, and he's got Linnigan to beat. Naeem. Anderton. Winterburn looking up to see where right is. This is Campbell. Sedgley for Tottenham. And now Sheringham. Winterburn's well out of position here. Sheringham making the use of the space. And he's gone inside, but he went a shade too far, and Linnigan blocked it. And Merson now the long ball searching out right. This is Sedgley. It's a bit of a chess match, Trevor, isn't it? It needs somebody to move out of position, as Winterburn did then, and when Sheringham got in, to change the predictable pattern of play.
Yeah, if somebody just took a chance and threw an extra man forward and then it broke down, that's what happened there. Suddenly there was a gap at either end, but neither side were able to capitalise on it. I think as the game drags on at Wembley, it'd be very unusual for it to be so tight over 90 minutes. I think gradually you will get the space developed, but at the moment certainly they're cancelling each other out. They know each other so well, and they're sort of really making sure that the danger men don't get the space they want.
Ian Wright's been penalised by the referee, and there's certainly no risks being taken in this opening half hour. Dixon, Merson. It's Campbell with Ruddock. This is Samways. Anderton. Sheringham nearer to him. Naeem is the man he picked out further over. Naeem into Sheringham. This is Allen he's going to set up here. Anderton. Allen tries to go for the return. Little bit of crisp Tottenham football, which they know so well. That was Wright. That was Edinburgh. Now Adams has gone forward, marked by Sheringham here. But he jumped underneath it, Tony Adams. That's back in by Linnigan.
Both sides just charge out. Whenever it's half cleared, you'll find both defences sprint out of the 18-yard box, and you're going to get the obvious number of offsides. It's going to be very difficult for forwards not to get called offside.
Offside, exactly as you said it. Well, I hope it gets a little bit better than this. I have to say that after 27 minutes, it's very much a game being played in the minds of the coaches at the moment, I would say. There goes Campbell, up against Ruddock. He got half a shot on it.
Terrific ball from Hillier there. The sort of pass I would have thought they've been trying to get Wright in on, but it's been 2 or 3 occasions Kevin Campbell rather than Wright.
Anderton. Samways had run offside, so Anderton went himself. Good decision by the number 9, and then Linnigan challenged him. No foul given, it's a corner. Spurs surround Mr. Don. Sheringham and Naeem up to him immediately to appeal. Sedgley as well. They felt it was a foul on Anderton by Linnigan. Trevor.
It was a foul. He didn't get the ball. Anderton turned it past him. The referee looked at the linesman who was right next to the 2 players. He didn't flag, so he didn't give the decision.
Well, suddenly the semi-final comes to life with a controversial moment. Darren Anderton, the man allegedly brought down, takes the corner kick. Ruddock's in there again. And Ruddock appeared to be held there as well, but with his arm on his head, he signals, but nothing's given. This is a good spell for Tottenham. It's Edinburgh. What I'd like to know is, was it inside the area when the impact was first made on Anderton? And someone's spoken about it too much here. Tottenham are in trouble with the referee. 2 decisions didn't go their way, and somebody has said too much. I suspect it's Sedgley. And the Arsenal players are doing some pointing as well. It's Paul Allen, in fact, who's being booked. Yellow card for Allen. Now, Anderton was away. The defender was Andy Linnigan, and he comes in here. Now, what I'd like to know, it's a foul, Trevor Brooking says, but was the impact on the other side of the line? Would it have been a penalty, or would it have been a free kick?
It was definitely a foul. That's the only argument, whether it was inside the box or not. The amazing thing was the linesman, in all honesty, was right up with play and didn't give it. And so the referee looked across and decided that it could only have been a corner. But I can understand Spurs being very frustrated. My only query was whether it was inside the box. Well, we should be able to tell here. I mean, I think when he slides in, first of all, you'll see that he's outside. But as he actually makes contact, well, I'd have said perhaps just outside the 18-yard box.
That was my query on to start with. I would say that would have had to have been a free kick, Trevor, really, not a penalty, in fairness to Arsenal. But I do agree with you, it was a foul. In the meantime, Linnigan got a bang in the eye. We're not quite sure how. There was all sorts of reaction to that corner that followed. And there's some some good humour down there, it would seem. Certainly, there's David O'Leary sharing the joke. And I think somewhere there, George Armstrong, a member of the famous double team, yes, with the white hair in the centre there, played with George Graham. There's George. And as an old winger, he would have had a view, no doubt, on what happened there on the flank. Well, certainly with 32 minutes gone, that incident is the one that the crowd will be talking about most, and the reason that laughter was going on, I've got a feeling there's a television monitor down there in the tunnel, and that the 2 managers can actually see the replays. So I wonder whether their view was that of Trevor Brooking and myself. Certainly in the aftermath, a bad cut on the eye for Linnigan. We had one last year in the final, didn't we, involving Bracewell when Philip Don was the referee. A huge call for a penalty which wasn't given. But this one, I honestly think, if it was a foul, it was outside the area when he made the challenge. Seaman to take the kick in the end. Selly. This is Campbell. Now it's Hillier. Header again. It was a slip by Campbell, but the offside flag was up anyway. Here's Merson. Oh, he saw where Torsvet was.
Terrific bit of vision. In the end, initially you thought, well, no, what's he doing? But because Torsved was off his line outside the 6-yard box, tries to hit it with the outside of his foot, doesn't quite get the swerve.
Well, he's got Naeem and Samways on that side now, just in Edinburgh, to help him get the ball forward. Parler. With Mabbott. Parler again. Trying to take on two of them down that side. And, he'll be happy enough to get the throw for Arsenal. If you've joined the match late, 35 minutes gone at Wembley. It's Arsenal 0, Spurs 0. And one appeal for a penalty, but not too many shots and saves up to now. Well, is Naeem allowed to stand there? To the referee to decide. Campbell goes up. Dixon comes in. Torsbeck comes out. Needs some help from Anderton. Winterburn. A couple of crosses seem to have deceived Torsbeck very slightly.
Had that first deep one, didn't he, from Merson from the free kick that just went out for a corner, slipping off his hand, and that one was an up and under hanger. Both occasions, though, hasn't had to pay for the fact he hasn't quite held on to them.
Many years ago, one player specialised in jumping up in front of his opponent, and he was about to take a throw. An old Bournemouth player, I think, called Norris. And it caused a lot of confusion at the time as to whether it was within the laws. Anyway, here's Samways, and this is Anderton. Austin spreads the play. Ruddock is still forward, gets a touch on it. Mabbott. Wide again to Naeem. And still Ruddock is in there. And there he is, Ruddock!
It's always dangerous, isn't it, Neil Ruddock, in those situations. Good cross. He gets a running jump, whereas Linegan's had to backpedal and stand. Didn't quite have the power to ever feel it was going to beat Seaman.
Here's Merson. In the way was Mabbott. And this is Sheringham. Things are really brightening him up now. And Adams gets mixed up here. And there's a real danger. And it was Vinnie Samways. And Seaman scrambled back. And Adams will be so relieved. Samways was clean through for Spurs.
Well, that was nearly an unbelievable calamity, wasn't it? First of all, Tony Adams missed kicks barely on his left foot. I must say, I thought Vinnie Samways might have done better. And then secondly, David Seaman, it slipped through his hands, but was always going to trickle wide.
Well, we've had an exciting 7 or 8 minutes now, haven't we? It's as if the game is opening up, and there's a foul on Parler by Edinburgh. And again, the referee just calming down a bit of reaction there. It was Samways who had to be led away from him by Sheringham. Now then, Arsenal with a free kick. Linegan has gone forward. To be taken by Dixon. Winterburn. Austin. Oh, good touch by Samways to Sedgley, and back again. But it was Anderton whose pass was rather hurried. Here's Selly into Merson. Ruddock. 6 minutes to go to half-time at Wembley. No score between the great North London rivals as they play for the right to meet Sheffield Wednesday in the final here on May the 15th. Mabbott. Edinburgh. Naeem. Sheringham trying to fox Linnigan, and in doing so he gets a free kick. And I think Mr. Don sees that as gamesmanship by Linnigan, the way he blocked his man, and he's going to get a yellow card for it.
Linnigan's appealing that he felt Sheringham had backed into him, but once he had rode the tackle that he tried to pinch in front of him, then he had to bring him down, stop him getting away, and so 1 card apiece.
Yes, Linnigan joins Allen in the referee's notebook. Here's Sheringham. Edinburgh. Right across, and nobody able to lay claim to it for Spurs then, but they might now. It's Allen. Anderton on this wing. Tries to win the corner off Winterburn, who was too wise to it, but he needs help now. Selly. Here's Wright. They've kept him quiet so far, have Tottenham. And Dixon was a bit tight there. It's Naeem. Sheringham in the middle, being joined now by Anderton and Sedgley. And Naeem tries to find Sedgley first time, can't. And it comes off Adams, and then it's Winterburn. And Arsenal are in a fix here. Well, they've got out of it. I'm not sure that they know how. This is Merson. Through the middle goes Campbell at the other end. Wright and Selly waiting in the centre. It's still Campbell.
Two little flutters at either end, weren't there? First of all, a couple of little panics. Wright's ball to Dixon, where Naeem pitched it off him, and then it went into the box, and Adams sliced his clearance, and then they managed to hack it away. And then a good ball from Merson to release Campbell, who's getting clear a lot more than Wright, isn't he?
Well, he is, actually, and that's a foul by Linnigan on Sheringham. And the second half of this first half has been much more interesting than the start. It's suddenly, the match has produced 3 or 4 incidents, any one of which could have produced the first goal. And indeed, at the moment, Ruddock is lining up for a possible free kick, and Arsenal, mindful perhaps of what Sheffield United didn't do, have formed a wall. And Ruddock chips it in. Headed on, in fact, by Mabbott. Naeem. Austin for Tottenham. Good play by the fullback, going alone. And Adams steps in. Sheringham, as Spurs show some freedom of expression, and Sheringham gets Austin in, and Winterburn steps across him, and Austin wins it back. And here's Anderton, and again it's Winterburn. Thrilling play there by Spurs. Austin right at the heart of it from right back. And in the end it's a corner, which will bring Ruddock forward again. Two Arsenal players jumping with Ruddock, knocked back in by Allen. Offside flag up against Sheringham in the centre.
1 or 2 little panics in the Arsenal defence over the last 10 minutes. I mean, I think for the first 20 minutes or so, Arsenal just had the edge. Then, since the tactical switch, moving Anderson wide and Paul Allen in alongside Sedgley, Spurs have got that little bit better, and Arsenal just had 1 or 2 hiccups, 1 or 2 miss kicks in critical areas, but they haven't proved as costly as they might have done on another day.
That's a fair summing up with a minute to go in the first half. No score, but Spurs have had Arsenal rattled in their last 2 or 3 attacks. That was Samways to Naeem, and they're playing some good cohesive football in this spell, Tottenham. Helped on again by Edinburgh, but just as I said that, it all goes wrong. Fans enjoying the sunshine and watching what has now become a very tight semi-final. Merson had some good moments, Paul Merson already. Back by Mabbott. Dixon. And again. Selly. Oh. And it was well played by Paul Allen. This is Samways, and now it's Sedgley on his left. He'll want it there. Couldn't pull it back. But it's still with Tottenham. Edinburgh. Samways. Ruddock. Well, Arsenal will be pleased to cross the halfway line and try and bring Camberland right into the game. They've been out of it for the last 10 or 15 minutes. And here's Anderton, who's very much in it. Takes on Linnigan. Sheringham is onside, but didn't quite have the extra yard, and Seaman not pleased with the challenge at the end.
Just a bit of frustration for Teddy Sheringham, because Tony Adams, you'll see, just step up, but when the ball was played, he wasn't offside. It just ran away from him too much.
Parler. Sheringham looks for Samways, and Adams goes in. And it's going to come out to Naeem. This period of the game very much Tottenham's. Naeem forces the corner. Oh, and Dixon makes contact with Naeem in some sort of aggressive fashion, and I don't quite know why he had to do that. The referee has no choice but to take action, in my view, there. Dixon accused Naeem of diving, did he, Trevor?
No, definitely, that's what the problem was. Naeem did a step over, went to the line. Dixon definitely got the ball. Naeem did go over, and Dixon got up very angrily that he should be trying to look for a penalty, having made a good contact on the tackle, and then Dixon foolishly chested him and shoved him, and that's why they both ended up in the card.
They've both got the card, so not much good has come out of that incident for either player. Yellow cards for Naeem and Dixon, bringing the total so far in this semi-final to 4. Few players on the edge here. Spurs have the corner. That's Linnigan away. Foul this time by Selly on Allen. Well, Tottenham won't want the half to end. Arsenal will.
I think probably the referee will as well.
Well, I'm not altogether surprised. It was going to be a testing game. It's injury time, third minute, in fact, of stoppage time, as we wait for this free kick to be taken by Vinnie Samways, or is it going to be Anderton? Sheringham goes in for the header. Now, the whistle will go for half-time, which will take the sting out of things for a few minutes. The referee, Neil Reddick's gone up to the referee to protest about something, and in fact, the referee is waving Ruddock away as tempers rise slightly at the end of the half. In fact, Doug Livermore ran across to make sure that Ruddock didn't continue that conversation, and quite a lot of activity there, not all of it in the goal mouth, towards the end of the first period. No score here, but there have been 4 bookings. There's been 1 penalty appeal, and there was a very good spell for Tottenham in the last. Ray Clement's having a word there with the referee, and not a particularly pleasant one, I don't think. So Trevor Brookings' verdict, a good start for Arsenal and then a good finish to the half for Spurs, but the situation, Desmond, is 0-0 between the North London rivals.